And this is what it looks like to have just watched UFC Contender Series Season 9, Episode 1. I'm just trying to erase it from my memory by destroying as many brain cells as I can. No, but for real, Paramount has to be sitting here in this moment like, boys, what in the fuck did we just do? And, hey, should we consider Power Slap? Because if the fights are going to be like this, what in the absolute fuck? You have guys who are literally training their whole lives for this one moment, and they're sitting there too afraid to jab even and at times. So I'm going to go through quick recap of this fight night. Contender Series Tuesday. I mean, literally there was one spectacular finish. I'm not saying that, the dogs didn't show up and make it at least a fight from that perspective. But I mean, everyone knows the name of the game. Like, you got to show that, basically you're not soy. Like, you're going to take one to give one, and you're going to advance and hunt for a finish. Your objective is to finish your opponent, not ride out a point that maybe you shouldn't even. Yeah, the point was totally fair. The point deduction is totally fair. But I look back at that replay, the collision of heads that was thrown by Santana looked just above the eye. The response was contacting the brow. Even said at the end of the post fight had hit his head. Like, we're not talking about eye pokes, and I'm not really seeing that eye poke bullshit. So I think this Bufea dude, really soy as fuck, wasn't impressed. I mean, he was hand fighting with like 3 or 4 strikes thrown, and then single second, third round. Like, what in the fuck are we doing here? He just, like Dana said, just seemed to quit right after the first round. Thought that maybe with that extra point, he'd be able to edge it out very safely. I don't know where these judges came up with these scorecards. Let's take a look at this. At the very least, I could see it going ever so very fucking slightly to Buffea, but I thought for sure it was going to be a draw. And basically everyone says, hey, you know what? 30-26. Brian Miner, get the fuck out of here. Even 29-27 I don't agree with. Again, 30-26. How in the fuck do you give all 3 rounds to this dude? At all. So, really, really interesting judging from UFC. Week after week, someone really shits the bed. The last few fight nights have had some very interesting decision making. So please, I would love Dana to address this and trying to find these future prospects. Hey, thank God that wasn't a ranked top 15 fight, a title fight, a main event. Thank God we figured that out now, because Brian should not be judging or officiating in any kind of way in a UFC bout. Now, I do think that the best thing we do is we put forward a way for these judges that have to give like explanation to their scoring. So that way we can hold some accountability and have them have to explain to us where their fucking head was in making these terrible decisions. So not a lot to recap here. Basically, Santana I saw doing like the fucking, I don't even know what the fuck it was. It literally looked like some cha-cha dance. Like, he was fucking emoting. He was screaming. He was doing everything but actually crossing the void and bringing the fight to Bufea, because he, at the end of the day, I guess respects this guy's loading up, stepping back, and trying to cross. But I don't even think he would have done that. So where was the threat coming to you that made you say, I can't cross this dude's void and make this a fucking gunfight at the very least? So I'm sounding like a terribly grumpy old man. I won points on the decision. I earned some good money. And then, the one fight earlier showed up and got me that first round knockout. But otherwise, I was just really sad to see just kind of how these turned out. So going up to the fight prior, I actually was okay with this one, thanks to Jimmy Drago being a bit of a dog. This dude literally high level pain tolerance, high level resilience. This is actually a guy, I know he didn't win his contract, but like, keep him in mind when you have a short notice, fucking fight night somewhere that's falling through, like a shitty Apex fight night last second, week of, somebody's not going to make weight. doesn't agree to the fight, hey, would you fight this for now and we'll reschedule or whatever the fuck. You still get X amount of your purse because this Jimmy dude, I just kind of respected him. The range disadvantage was a big concern. The jab was very painful. I did not really understand Jimmy's underhook efforts on the edge of the octagon. It seemed like he should have completely level changed and not try to stall and hold out that pressure, because anytime he got Ty there, Ty was able to break away clean and just really stuck on that jab that really started finding a home, especially as the fight ensued. Third round though, Jimmy showed up. Props to him there. He cracked fucking Ty really good over the brow. Made it a dogfight. So he was, Jimmy was plus money as a dog. I think he showed up and delivered from a fight perspective. His props were pretty low coming into the third, but he was still there fighting. But again, just having a hard time being able to sit in the pocket, make big combinations. That's a lot to do with Miller's ability to, again, kind of keep him at bay at range. But Jimmy was doing very good with the kicks, and you saw the post-fight damage there with the crutches. So Drago, I thought maybe being able to mix in the kicks, go to the body more, could have opened up something high on Ty, but, props to Miller there for keeping the range and just popping them. So, all right. So this was a great fight in the sense that you knew that you were going to get some action. Fucking Tasmanian Devil taking on one of Hamzat's homies. Steps in, 7 days notice. So this fight was pretty decent. Basically, the prop for first round knockout by Serzikov was the same as the fight to end in the first round by a knockout. And I knew it was going to be a gunfight on the feet. More than likely, it went the way that it did, but I just thought, hey, for the extra 20 points in this prop, I'll have it going both ways to be safe. So we sprinkled on the second round, hammered on the first. We're granted the first. Beautiful kick up the middle. Hit right where it needed to. And, those painful body shots will drop some killers, dude. I was thinking recently with the dwcs fight, I was running back through his fights, and I remember watching the Kevin Holland fight. Like, dude, Holland can stand and exchange in these nasty wars at times. Look almost Dan Hookerish in that Wonder Boy fight. But that one little shot to the red, boom. You crack that cartilage, you get that swinging rib syndrome. It's over. And, safe to be said, these liver kicks and these body shots can just absolutely zap the life out of somebody. So we get another one of these. Dana's happy. Hey, I think most people from a betting perspective has to be happy, right? Given the statistics, I think most people were within the distance and doing something plus money. For me, a plus 200 prop, that obvious. We'll take that every week. So that's my first, went through a Contender series and decided to play the different lines and everything. That's normally not me. I watch highlights on Contenders, and I watch a few exciting guys that I can expect to see, XYZ. But my old work schedules and different responsibilities, I really didn't used to sit and watch through these. So was really excited to do that this season. If we can have more fights like this one, I'm in for a hell of a time. But Contender series always are shaky. And they kind of draw a lot of people in initially, but not everyone stays. So really awkward fight night. And the whole Paramount thing, they're probably sitting there God, how much fucking money did we just blow on this shit, boys? So great finish. He said he wants to be active. He took no damage. Mick's apparently already looking to do some matchmaking with him. I could see this man showing up at an Abu Dhabi card fight night prelim. Something like that, for His Majesty, of course. So, all right. So glad we got one prediction that went the exact way you thought the fight would go. Just about. The clinch was, pretty decent. Shut down some of the striking. It was at least a good strategy by Murtaza, but fuck. The moment this dude's at range, he's another, one of those problems. So good shit there. All right, so moving earlier in the fight. Hey, credit in the sense where Radley showed up and was a hell of a dog. I think out of all the prospects, minus Serzica, you got Mangus that I think most people expected to run through, have one of those highlight submissions tonight, and just, Dana's more than excited as hell, and we're sitting here talking about, hey, another in the future making JDM. Dude been training since he was 8 years old, and man, it was a really fucking tough night out for him. I think Silva controlled, I want to say, at least 60% of the ground game very easily early on to mid. And then as it seemed like he started to fade, he started finding more reversals. And all of a sudden, George is the one popping, sliding left, right, trying to sneak in that arm, peppering in some more shots, had some good, cranks across the jaw, some good cross faces and things. But fuck, dude, like, Radley did an amazing job in the last few minutes of that 15-minute fight, being able to stay alive on the ground. Completely body locked, avoiding that rear naked choke. It just seemed like George had also been really exhausted and just did not have that grip. He'd have a squeeze, and it's just like you would hope that he'd be able to hold that and turn and transition. There really wasn't any of that at the end of the fight, and I think credit of that is that Radley was showing up being another fucking dog, just dragging this war out with him on the ground and not just giving this shit up. So, Dana, it's like he said it in a very honest and harsh way, but sure, yeah, this guy's got another fight or two more, hopefully another high-level opponent. Like, I'd love to see this guy keep finding opportunities and ways to be underdog and showing up and keep surprising. But, man, you got to be able to advance position. You got to be able to hurt your opponents. If you're on the ground just winning on points and time, that's not really the modern MMA way, and so really want to see, both guys kind of work on that as they find levels of opposition that are higher, because you keep getting all these sensations that make it to the dance, but they lose that sensation ability, the thing that they were known for, right? And so then you have awkward fighters like Chris Curtis in the UFC. Like, dude ain't never hitting another knockout. Colby Covington. These guys are never hitting another knockout in the UFC, but their resume says they had them. They do them once upon a time, earlier in the career and far levels lower of opposition. So it's tough to see some of these guys meet that level of opposition to guys that still aren't in the UFC, right? That's all I'm saying. I want to see these guys show up and I guess at least risk it. Go for that shit. Like, you've trained your whole fucking life for this moment, for this one chance. And you're going to sit at range and patty cake the fuck off for, 12, 13 minutes? Throwing 3-4 jabs around? Strikes total? Holy fucking shit. You truly don't understand how this dude works and his team. Go out there and just be a fucking dog. And so that's where I at least give, props again early to Jimmy. Another guy who showed up. And props to, we'll get to him. But in a sense, props to Yuri. Just dog showing up. Count it out. But then, Radley's on that boat. You got to hit the gas pedal too. It's great that you can stop the car crash, but if you're not accelerating a car crash back, you're no good. You're no good. And the guys that were exciting to bring the car crash when they stopped crashing, then what? So we're just about wrapped up here. Again, George, probably the biggest upset on the whole Contenders episode 1. he had so many moments on the ground. I mean, we never really saw George on the feet striking really at all in this fight. It was so much of this fight was on the ground. So I get the fatigue over 15 minutes. It's hard to be the machine. It's hard to be Bilal Muhammad. You know what I mean? But some guys, they have that thing and they can do it. And I don't know if it was the grappling success so early with Radley that just exposed that of George to take that thing away from him in this fight. But when he had moments of his own, he wasn't really impressing me. Like, he had this really awkward moment, actually, where he had a full fucking mount. Nice little exchange. Could have been even the third round during one of those transitions. And he, like, postured up in an awkward way with his hands, like, down at the side. Didn't drop a hammer fist or try to razor an elbow and chase and try to work and keep that control or hunt for maybe a potential quick submission off the back in transition. He just kind of postured up in all fours as literally Radley had already began to escape him. And I just wonder, what in the fuck were we doing there? Posturing up? Unless you're riding that dude's dick, what were you doing? Posturing up and not dropping anything or chasing. I just don't get that. So, Mangos, you got some work to do for me. Radley, I feel bad for you in the sense that you did show up and you were the biggest dog in terms of what we all expected, right? I think a lot of people gave respects to Jimmy going into that fight. He showed up and obviously barked the loudest in terms of being a dog, but, you had a lot of success in this dude's realm and you countered it, but it's because we lacked the overall damage and the counter grappling to advance positions of your own to chase that finish and make something exciting in one of these fights. That's where Dana was hard on you, man. So, like I said, get a fight or two more. We'd be back. Because, I mean, obviously he's good enough to stop one of the biggest car crashes tonight, so that's good. All right, so Chris fought Yuri. Yuri is like, he showed up, he pulled the upset. Chris is tough on the feet. And basically the way that went is Yuri was winning on the feet, but because fucking Chris is so tough, Yuri would just basically be like, hit him with his best shit. Dude's a little blood out of the corner of his eye, and he's still coming forward, swinging, throwing hammers back. And that's where Yuri goes, fuck this shit. I'm also Russian. Put his head down, resumed the takedowns. Didn't do anything really with him. The ground control, but striking. I mean, there were times he'd posture up and, feed some shots through and sprawl out accordingly, but it was just like a lot of seamless control time, and we get it, right? He was winning the few exchanges. He was being an MMA fighter at the end of the day. He's literally mixing it in, knowing that he's winning. And Dana's just like, okay, man, again, if you're not going to chase this finish, if you're not going to come at this shit like you truly want this opportunity, there's probably other guys that can call that they're going to give me more and give the fans more, right? So it's kind of where I felt bad for him because, again, you could just see it in his face, like, kind of excited like he did win the fight, a little banged up in the face. You could see it. Obviously, Chris got home with a couple of big shots, but I don't know, I think another one of those was a knee maybe, or kick even. I forget, but I think Yuri ate something more than a fucking punch, and it was kind of like, God damn, how did he eat that, right? But it was really Chris that had the jaw in the fight because Yuri was winning the striking exchanges. So judges all saw it the same way, pretty convincingly, right? Big upset because technically Chris should be in the UFC already. So guy already kind of made his UFC debut in a sense against another, starting out guy. And it's either win or be cut kind of mentality. Well, you definitely got him cut because I don't think they're bringing him back on. But, all right, man. Well, that's going to do the Contender series for me. Yikes. The fuck were we doing tonight? So apparently they start like this. Again, I'm going to be committed and seeing these through, watch every fight, and sprinkle You know, we did all right tonight. We had a couple hits. We had a parlay at the end. I had that one within the distance, so I had a 3-leg miss, but everything else kind of cashed out collectively, and we were cooking with some of these live props for some of these upsets and things to occur when things were like plus 1,200, plus 1,300. So we had some fun sprinkles along the way. The methods, distance, little weird tonight. A lot of things went to the judges, as we know. Didn't expect to see that. So distance parlays, not so safe in the contenders so far, but there are those fighters when they show up, like Hamzat's little bro. And you can just say, yeah, this guy's about it, because literally this is what he's doing. It's different than saying, I have this many knockouts. Yeah, it's like that Tom Aspinall shit. And how many minutes in the first round? 3, 2, fuck, you know, that's kind of different aura. So we took that at plus 200 prop, first round knockout. And that wasn't fighter specific. It respected both sides, the gunfight. So if you guys want to hammer those with me, we can talk openly. We got UFC 319 around the corner. Very much looking forward to this one. You guys already know. Hop on through Lethal Toad MMA. But for now, this is just kind of me jib-jabbing. So I appreciate you guys here as well at MMA Toad. Much love. We'll tap in soon. We got Lethal coming up tomorrow. Go through the whole card. Go through our bent up, fucked up UFC trading card mail as of recently. Sadder than a motherfucker. Cannot believe this shit. So this is a 7 out of 10 Intimidators auto. Sergey Pavlovich. Beautiful fucking autograph. It's so sad to send this card back because I'll never own it again. But you cannot have a fucking giant gash going down the middle of the card. Clearly someone took that card and practically fucking bent it in half. Now, probably happened during shipping, whatever. Sad. Oh yeah, there you see it a lot better right there on that angle briefly. The card's damaged severely. So, again, $30-$40. Shit, I don't even own a Sergey auto. $30-$40. If it's good enough number, sure, I'll own it. Thanks. 7 out of 10. The graphics, an octagon covered in blood, basically. And the insert of the auto's name is Intimidators. And prior to Tom Aspinall, the heavyweight, had Francis Ngannou, and historically we have these guys that they touch people and they fall asleep. Sergey Pavlovich definitely had the death touch. So one of the most nervous fights I had was picking Tom Aspinall against him, because I'm like, Tom can totally get fucked up. Sure enough, guess what? Tom did get rocked initially first in that fight. Quick recovery, good at range. Sergey probably could have blitzed and had like a moment of success, maybe more, and that could have actually been it. Would have been fucking crazy. Huge different dynamic in the heavyweight division, I'm sure. But it didn't happen that way because Tom's the GOAT. But that does not mean I do not respect this guy. So, anyways, upset that card got damaged. So we're going to rant about that shit. We're going to go through some brief picks and bets. And as always, we'll catch you guys there. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.